Hello everybody, this is John Felt and this is the Merschman Seeds Ag Weather Briefing for October 6th, 2018. Well, we're in the middle of the corn harvest season and we've had quite a bit of rain that's delayed operations, and unfortunately, as I've been saying over the last week, we have a lot more on the way over this weekend into early next week. Now this is last week where the rain was, so over 2 inches of rain over scattered parts of eastern Kansas, northwest Missouri, central and eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, parts of Wisconsin, Michigan. Now, in some of these areas, maybe not from a harvest standpoint, from a soil moisture recharge, eastern Kansas and northwest Missouri, which is in a high degree of drought, this is a needed rainfall. Everywhere else, this is going to be a significant aggravation and cause delays due to soggy fields, flooding. Look at that area in red there. Those areas of red are indicating 5 inches of rain. So especially eastern Iowa, east central, northeast Iowa, southern, right along the Illinois and Wisconsin border. Now, before we get into the briefing, let's take a quick look at the tropics. There's a system brewing in this area right in, let me switch this over, right in this area right here. It's pretty unorganized right now, but models are bringing it up to the north. So not out of the question that that could at some point affect the eastern corn belt. I don't think so. I think it's going to be any moisture that moves inland is going to be shunted off in this direction, but let's keep an eye on it over the next week. But the big story by far is going to be this trough or digging to the south of the upper jet stream and the bulging north of the jet stream here. So the eastern corn belt, very warm, moist, muggy conditions. The northern and northwest corn belt, very cool and dry conditions, and that class of air masses right along these boundaries here is where we're getting the most active rainfall. And each one of these low pressures that are moving along this boundary, they're moving right along the boundary, that enhances lift and even further enhances rainfall. And you can see that at temperature departures, you know, if you're in Des Moines, temperatures say, hey, it's near normal. But up in the northwest part of the state, and then if you get into South Dakota, we're looking at 10 to 20 degrees below normal as far as temperatures go in this region, and 10 to 20 degrees above normal over the eastern corn belt. So obviously with those contrasts there, we have that frontal boundary, and that is where the heavy rain is going to be. You can see that boundary. It's been in place for a while. That's why we had the heavy rain over the last week. It's been sitting here, and that's not good for harvest operations when you get these stalled boundaries with all the action. So what we're going to see in the jet stream is it does look like this pattern is going to change as we go through the week. This, you can see here's the trough, and by the end of the 14-day period it's west-east. So it looks like from a big picture we're getting back into more of a normal type of fall pattern. We're going to be breaking out of this. Doesn't mean rain-free, but it does not mean that we're going to get these continued persistent heavy rain. The problem is that we are going to have it this week. This is Monday morning, very active. Here's your boundary, areas of low pressure, even a chance of severe weather down in Texas and Oklahoma, but right through this axis here is where the heaviest rain will be. And I've been putting this out for a number of days now, but we're looking at the possibility of anywhere from 2 to as much as 6 inches of rain. As far as Iowa goes, it looks like 2 to 4 inches on the general scale, but anywhere in this red, anywhere from here, in between these lines here, we're looking at the prospects of over 2 inches of rain, and then in this area right in here, over 3 inches of rain. So back-to-back weeks, parts of these areas are going to be talking about a whole lot of rain, and this is going to further delay the issue, the harvest operations. Now, I did mention, I sent something out, I believe it was yesterday, for this area here that's in really a big drought. This will be enough rain here, if this does occur, to totally most likely eliminate that drought. So by the time this rain's over, there'll probably be no area in the Corn Belt in drought anymore. The problem's going to be the opposite, how wet it's going to be. So like I say, we are going to transition over the next couple weeks, and we're going to have this trough sort of go into this broad trough over the U.S., and that's going to keep us cool as we get through week 1 into week 2. So we're going to start out, if you're in the eastern Corn Belt, very warm, but then we're going to cool down, and I think that'll stay in there. Most intense early this week over the upper Midwest, and then just generally modestly below normal in week 2. As far as precipitation, like I said, I don't think once this pattern by the middle of next week progresses, I do think there'll be chances for rain, and any rain is not going to let us dry out much, but it does not look like the persistent pattern we've seen over the last 2 weeks will continue through the rest of October. But you can see here, and this is 6 to 10 day and 8 to 14 chances for rain, green being the higher chances. But a lot of risks this week. Heavy rain over the weekend into early next week, gradually pushing into parts of the eastern Corn Belt as we get into the early to middle part of next week, and then much below normal temperatures over the upper Midwest. So I don't know how many ways to slice and dice it. It looks like showers and storms through midweek. We're talking about inches of rain in many spots, and that's going to further give us problems with harvest operations. Hopefully, once this moves through, we'll have some improvement. It's not going to be maybe drastic, but there will be some improvement. If you have any specific questions on your operations, feel free to email me, John, John, at bluewateroutlook.com, because I know I can't cover every detail in these briefings, but if you have something I'm not covering or anything specific, feel free to email me. That's the wet forecast. We'll be talking with you again next weekend.